So what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nick Krem Live. And guys, as you know, Nick Krem Live is powered by ContentCards.com. That's Content Cards with a Z.com. So with me today is somebody that I've gotten to know over the past year or so, Mr. John Kitchens. How's it going, John?
What's up, man? Going well, man. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, so am I. I know you're going to be dropping a lot of value on here. So John has been doing one-on-one coaching, and I was just updated before this. He has just right now 9,409. That's 9,409 one-on-one coaching calls. Has over 5,400 hours of helping agents grow their business and their personal lives, and has helped hundreds of agents break through to get to that next level, and dozens reach and help them kind of reach that next level in their marketplace. But those are just the numbers behind John. So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you, how you got into real estate, and how you kind of came up with this whole productivity warrior?
Yeah, man. There's always a connector in our lives, right? Somebody that that makes the connection. And man, for me, that's Mr. Michael Reese. And Mikey and I go way back. Junior high school days, and
really?
Junior high school golf, and which kind of led us into we were first roommates into college. And I was a year ahead of Mikey, but by the time I finally got kicked out of the house, it was just it just worked, right? So we went to school. School wasn't for us. I think I made it about another year, and and Mikey, shortly thereafter. But it's just funny, man. How those people in your lives, how they come full circle. And so, for me, man, I got out. Actually, I always joke, man. I played college golf, but I was really on the drinking team more so than anything. So my aunt out in California, she's like, get your butt out here. And I was like, all right. So that was kind of my schooling out there. I landed a pretty sweet job working. Super fortunate enough to have an amazing boss that really took me under her wing and taught me the whole ins and outs of the golf industry business. We had a 36-hole semi-private resort that had obviously food and beverage. It had lodging, the GM stuff, in the inner workings of the kitchen, and she just taught me everything. And so I think that was the catapult for me from a business perspective to understand all of the working dynamics from how do you make money on the driving range to teaching to getting people to stay the night, marketing the packages, how you bundle, unbundle. It was just it was just an interesting dynamic. And then fast forward, you get that itch, right? When you're from, no matter what, they always say you come back home at some point in your life. And so for me, I got drugged back, got sucked back into Lawton, and hooked up with buddies from high school. We did some pretty cool stuff, and being a serial entrepreneur, that was cool, man. I got to work with these guys, and so these guys would take ideas, they would turn it, and they would execute. They would turn it into a business. They would make it profitable, and then they would sell it. So it was like fascinating, right? And we ended up selling 4 different businesses, flipped 4 businesses that way.
And about what time period?
That was it was in about a 4-year time period. Yeah. And it wasn't like a year over year. They kind of started and stacked on top of each other, and they kind of worked well, but it was just a fascinating experience to be a part of that. And then my buddy gets this harebrained idea, and if you ever have the opportunity to own a bar, don't do it. Turn around and run in the opposite direction. Yeah. So that was 2004. We started that, and man, I worked like 100, and we kept track. It was like 127 straight days from January. We weren't supposed to be open on January 1st, but we were in there, and 121 straight days before I took a day off. And man, it was my life was that my daughter was born that year, so I've got a 2-year-old and a newborn. in a new bar, dude.
Yeah.
Not the life, not the life you want. So
Yeah.
come full circle, right? Michael Reese, here he is. He's the connector. Connects me with Jay Kinder, and it's funny, Jay and I lived in the same town, and I never met him. I think he may have come through the bar a few times, but I never met him. I'm hearing this guy on the radio. I see his billboards everywhere, and Mikey made the connection, man. Hooked me up. I met Kinder in October of 2004, and came on board about a week later. And
a week later, so it was like a no-brainer for you.
I was out the door, man. They knew I was gone. I was like, it was like wherever I was going to land, I was going to land. So,
yeah,
I remember, Kinder was, he's like, man, and he's like, dude, I can't afford you, but what everybody tells me is that I have to have you. And so, we made the hire, made it work, and off to the races. And 2004, here we are. 15, almost right at 15 years exactly later. So it's been a heck of a ride. So that's the backstory that led into real estate. And for me, I turned around and I got licensed there in 2005. So I've had my license since then. And there was a stretch from 07 to 2010 that I sold. Primarily was where I sold. That's a whole nother story, but it was great. It was a great experience. I've been able to have that under my belt, full throttle for that period of time, to go along with the operational background and really just understanding the business concepts of it and being able to to run the brokerages and run the team. And the cool thing is that over those 15 years. I've actually been able to be a part of, 3 separate, 7-figure, real estate businesses. So that it's just pretty awesome to be able to see that. And actually, one of them was from zero up. And then obviously being able to walk into Kinder's operation, definitely was awesome. And then also the brokerage that we kickstarted in 2014 down here in Dallas with Michael and Jay. And so that was, it's been fun, man.
That's interesting. I didn't know you and Mike Reese went that far back. And then it came full circle during that whole time. That's pretty cool.
We go way back, brother.
So with that being said, you moved out to California, you came back, you flipped those businesses, you had the bar, and then you started getting into real estate. So you kind of coined this phrase, and I believe you coined it, the productivity warrior. So I know I've heard a lot. I've been to your seminars, but what exactly is a productivity warrior?
Man, I'll take credit for the coining of it. Sure.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, in my world, you're the creator of it.
So. I'm the creator of it. I'll take productivity warrior all day long. No, man. For me, productivity is essentially, one of my key mentors really broke it down and said, productivity is really just creating the habits in your life by rituals for what you do. Man, that's productivity. And so understanding what it is that you do and what you do that matters, right? There's only a handful of things that you do that really drive the needle forward. And so getting clear on what those are, and then, making sure that you have the allotted amount of time correctly. It's just a math equation to execute those activities. But you also have to battle the nonsense, the noise that's going on in our heads. So really to truly be the most productive that we can possibly be, it's a marriage of what's going on in our head and then to the outer worlds, the outer tools, your calendar, right? Your allocation of time and understanding that it really boils down to how are you managing your energy, right? So you look at it from a warrior perspective, right? Yeah. When are you going to be the strongest, right? When are you going to be the best, right? And that's when your mind is clear, your energy level is high, and you're able to, you're really just able to focus and execute on the things that matter, that produce you and move you closer to the outcomes that you're trying to accomplish in your life. And that's really what it's about.
So that's a great explanation of it. So I have two questions on this next one. One, were you always a productivity warrior, like from the rip? And then what had to change to get you to that next step?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all have seasons of our life to where things kind of fall off. But man, you know, it all comes back down to the discipline and instilling in the habits. And so for me, you know, growing up in a coach's home, right? You know, my dad, you know, 50 years in the public school system, and he's retired and he still coaches his golf team that he's been coaching for 40 years. So you grow up in that regimen, in that coaching regimen, coaching environment. You know, my dad, you know, he's coached, you know, junior high school football, you know, girls basketball, track, golf, tennis. I mean, he's coached it all, right? And, you know, on a coaching salary, man, you got to take all of those extra gigs that you can, man, to get a little bit of money in. And so, I mean, I think that was just instilled, you know, the summers, my dad, you know, it's like you said, man, you got to take every gig you can that they offer when you've got that teacher's salary, especially in Oklahoma, because man, they be robbing folks up there. So the thing though is that, you know, seeing my dad take those gigs, right? And so like during the summer, he took the gig of mowing and taking care of the softball field, the baseball field, the football field, you know, just maintaining the grounds during the summer. So, man, it was cool. I got to go hang out with Dad, man. We got donuts and chocolate milk in the morning. I got to spray the Roundup on the track. You know, it's just those things, man. It's just instilling those good habits. Mm-hmm. You know, the discipline and habits and being consistent in those is what it really boils down to. Honestly, is 100% what it boils down to.
Yeah, no, so that's a good point. I know habits was something that was covered a lot when you came into town. That's where it all starts, is forming good habits. And that's something where even after you came into the town, I got a direct takeaway right away. Was I woke up the next morning, you know, we went out the night before, nothing crazy, but we went out, we woke up, we were supposed to go out and go to the gym. I'm laying in my bed and I was like, man, I don't want to go work out. But I remember what you said. You do the hard things in life, your life becomes easier. You take the easy way, your life becomes harder. So I'm laying in bed, that quote popped into my mind, sprang right up and got to the gym. So that was one of my biggest takeaways right after that.
That's right, man. That's good.
So
That's awesome.
I hear from agents, you know, talking to them a lot. I do some coaching as well, and I was into it a lot more before. But something that always came up was busy being busy, was something that I would hear a lot. So how do you help people overcome that, and how have you overcome that yourself as well?
Yeah, man, I think we all sink into it, and where we sink into it is, you know, it comes down to I gotta reference him, man. You know, I know he's from the west side of the 216. You know, it's hard to know where you're going when there's no destination. And you got to know what you're striving for, man. You got to know what it is that you're getting after. And a couple things that help with that is it's two powerful exercises. And one is, what is your perfect day? What is your perfect day? What does it look like? And see, these two things are extremely important because we have to create decision-making filters in our life to know yes or no, right? How do we know to say yes to something versus saying no to something when, you know, it's almost damn near impossible if you don't know what it is that you want to accomplish or where you want to be in your life, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a long damn game. And, you know, what is that perfect day for you? And when you sit back and you go through that exercise and you really think about it, if Groundhog Day every day, what would you do? Who would you work with?
Yeah.
You know, would you work? I can damn near tell you, you know, yes, you would work. You would want to work. you would want to add value and impact others' lives, because you can only play so much golf. You can only do so much of the things that are not adding value to other people's lives. So you just have to figure out what is that perfect day, because are you making decisions in your life and creating outcomes that within progression of your rituals and your habits that are moving you closer to that perfect day or not? And then the other is what's your number? What's your number, man? We all got a number. There's a mathematical equation that we all have, right? There is a number. Some people guess, and it's all over the map, but there is a number that if we hit that number and we have amount of residual passive dollars coming in that we're not trading our time and energy and effort for, then it's that absolute freedom, right? I get, to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want, and really truly live my perfect day. And so there's a number, man. It's knowing those two things. And then when you have that amount of clarity, then you're able to make those decisions and create better choices for you in your life that allow you to be not busy, but be productive. That's the key, right? There's a great question, and I write it at the top. I print out my calendar. I kill a lot of trees. Sorry, guys. I print out my calendar every day, and it becomes my little notepad, my to-dos. I got my little guided minutes. Yeah. But I write at the top of my calendar every day, did I move closer to my outcome today? Mm-hmm. Well, you got to know what your outcome is to know, did I move closer or not? Yeah. And so you have to put in the work, you have to put in the time and the energy and think through exactly whatever it is, where you want to go, man. What's that life, right? What's that perfect day? And even more so, how are you going to design it?
So I think, and that's why I reached out to you earlier in the week. I'm like, I know you had your week planned out. I want to reach out to you on Sunday when you're planning it and get a time in the calendar there. So we got the time. Yes, and again, I appreciate you coming on here. So I want to go back to when you were talking about, you have to know the number. So there's two kind of theories that people run with. There's the 10X theory, where you have your goal, multiply it by 10. Even if you don't hit it, you're still going to get somewhere closer to it. And then there's kind of the theory of get goals that you can achieve. And then so you can keep hitting goal after goal. So then you can kind of feel more accomplished on the inside. Which do you go for? And which would you kind of recommend?
I'd say all of the above, brother. I think it's both. I think it's a combination of both. I think there's the mental psychological thing to where you have to capture your daily wins because you have to build momentum. And, for me, my alarm goes off at 8:05 every night and all it says is wins. And so at 8:05, I open up my Evernote app, and for today, I write down all the things that I won at today. So this call will go on there, man. This is a win, right? Yeah. I got a session in on the bike this morning. That's a win. I had the opportunity to have 7 amazing coaching calls today. Those were wins. I had the opportunity, to go pick up my son from school. That was a win. I had the good fortune to wake up in my house next to my wife this morning. That's a win, right?
Shout out Holly.
yeah. So it's being aware of the wins, because what happens is that we have this internal butterfly effect to where we will allow one negative thought to lead to another negative thought to lead to another negative thought, which will start to send us into a spiral. And if you are not acknowledging and being aware of what you're doing that's creating a win in your life each and every day, you will start to some of that victim, poor, pitiful, woeful me mindset that kills productivity. You will not be productive with that type of mindset. So, that's why I said in the beginning that you've got to get that mental side dialed in, and you've got to have, the Sunday planning. You've got to have the calendar. You got to know your non-negotiables. You got to know your high leverage activities. You got to know those things, but it takes both married together to allow you to be that productivity warrior.
Yeah, so it kind of goes into the same theory of when you start looking for certain cars, you start seeing those cars all over the road. So that's why at the end of the day, you want to state your wins. You want to see your wins. So you start seeing them more often as well.
Yep.
So you start looking for wins instead of looking for those losses.
Yeah. What is that? It's the reticular activator that fires, right? And when that fires, and that fires in anything in our lives, right? It's easy with the car, right? Hey, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about this black Escalade. Next thing you know, you see 5 billion black Escalades.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing, right? When you start thinking about your wins and winning and clarity and what you want to accomplish, that's why vision boards are so powerful. That's why, the vision, visualizing what it is that you want to accomplish is so powerful, because those exercises fire our reticular activators and allow us to start seeing those things that are kind of in the blind spots of our lives. Yeah. And, it's such a powerful exercise,
No, that's some great stuff there. So again, when you came to Cleveland, there was this quote that stuck out to me especially. So, and I'm not married right now, but it's something I'll keep in the back of my mind. If you don't date your wife, somebody else will. So that goes into the theory of like, how do you manage your personal life and your business life? So like, how do you do that, John?
You start to look at non-negotiables, and that whole date your wife, date night is a non-negotiable. Yeah. And then, the family time is non-negotiable. Right. And two, it also comes back down to how do you want to design it? How do you want to live it? Right. It's just like, I'm sitting here with you here in the home office, right? That's by design. And, Zane's on the other side of the desk playing Roblox, just hanging out, man. It is that life by design. And so what to answer your question, it comes down to the 168, right? It comes down to the 168 hours that we have each and every week, and how are we going to maximize those hours? You back out sleep, you back out maintenance, shower, taking care of ourselves. For most, it's going to leave about 105, 110 hours, but for simplicity's sake, say you have 100 hours left.
Right.
And you have to decide, based upon the season of your life in your business, how many hours are you going to work on your craft that's going to provide money? And then what are you going to do with the other half? So, some weeks you might work 60 hours. A guy like you, not married, kids, you don't have other obligations. You might work 80 hours, right? And then you have to look at all the obligations in your life. And then from that 168, you get down to 100 and say, hey man, I'm going to work 50 hours this week. Okay. Out of that 50, the math equation is, you have to allocate 70% of your working time on the activities that matter, right? The things that move the needle, the things that deliver or move you closer to your outcomes. And so in real estate, man, it's only a handful of things. It's lead gen, prospecting, marketing, creating conversations. And then, it's pitching your offer. So it's getting face-to-face, knee-to-knee, pitching your offer to motivate buyers, sellers, recruits, other agents, business opportunities. And then it's negotiating deals. If you're working with buyers, you're probably showing some properties in there. So if you're working 50 hours, that means 35 of those hours better be dedicated to those activities and those activities alone. And if not, then just like what you were talking about earlier, you're just being busy. You're not being productive. And so that's the math equation. So to allocate it, it's on the flip side. So that means I've got 50 hours for the other equities of my life. And what am I doing? And what am I doing with those equity, with those hours? And so whatever you have going on, if you're training for some event, if you're looking to run, a marathon, right? You're going to dedicate X number of hours. You might be working out 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, let's say 10 hours, right? A week. And now you're down to 40, right? You're putting in family time, you're putting in date night. So it just really becomes a math equation. Once you're clear on what it is that you're wanting to accomplish and what's important to you in those other equities, that really will layer it out. And the reason it's 168 and you don't look at it over the course of a month, the course over, a quarter or a year, is because it changes every week. Yeah, it really absolutely changes every week. It changes based on vacation. It bases on holidays. It based on, other obligations. It changes. So you have to look at it week over week. And you made the comment, I better hit John on Sunday because the week is going to be gone. And that, I will lock down the whole week. And on Sundays, it's just part of our Sunday planning, ritual that we go through. And, we really, we just, it's a habit of ours now, right? It's just a habit that we get into and really plan for and layer out the whole week.
Yeah, so I love how you break it down into a math equation. Not just because I'm a big math guy, because it makes it black and white. These are the amount of hours that you have. And then you can start allocating different hours to what you said, like your highest and best use of time. So coming into like the highest and best use of time, you said things like making offers, negotiating, prospecting. What would you say, especially being on over 9,000 calls, is the number one bottleneck you see in people not being able to hit their highest ROI activities?
Their mindset, the lack of clarity that they have.
Yeah.
They've got too much shit going on in their mind to for them to get out of the way. They become they become the constraint. And, we are usually the biggest bottleneck in what it is that we're wanting. And usually our thinking is the biggest constraint. And so, going through some processes and really clearing our mind, there's 4 really good exercises to kind of go through that will really help. And one is, when you've got a messy, cluttered desk, it's really hard to kind of think and focus. And so it's the same thing with our minds. So if we're able to go in and we clear what we call clear our mental desk, and it's essentially just pulling out a piece of paper and starting to write everything down that's in our heads. And then you can start to prioritize what's important, what just needs to be thrown away, what doesn't, really matter. The other is that, our highest form of energy is our willpower, right? It is the highest form of energy that we have. And so that's why Brian Tracy talks about eat that frog, eat the frog, do the hardest thing you can in the morning, because that's when our willpower is the highest. And as energy depletes, then, at the end of the day, right, it's like, man, I know I need to work out, but I'm not going to, or I need to make those calls, but I'm not going to. And the reason is because our willpower is zapped. Our energy is gone. And so that's why you have to maintain. That's why, it's about energy management more than it is about anything else. Yeah. And so you do the hard things in the morning when your energy is the highest. You look at deep work. It's just like where you can mentally focus. It's because that's where you have the mental energy to do it. And so you got to think as if your body and your mind, you've got a bunch of different apps running in the background. And so if you think about that with your phones, if you've got a bunch of stuff running, a bunch of stuff going, your battery power just drops. So you have to make a list of all of the areas in your life that you don't have closure on. And because the open loops, the energy drains, those are loose ends. Those are things that you don't have closure on, right? Mm-hmm. So it could be, you need to make a phone call. You need to shoot that video. You need to follow up on that email. You need to make that, connection. You need to order that whatever. And so what you want to do is you want to take and you want to prioritize that list and then get it done. Get it done. I love Jesse Itzler, what he calls it. He goes, I don't have a to-do list. He goes, I have a do list.
I like that.
I love that. I say, there ain't no more to-do list.
Yeah.
And what you also have to think about too is the things that you have an energy drain on. You get it done. You delegate it. If you've got an issue that's kind of pressing, So like for example, in real estate, man, if you've got an issue that's like, man, somebody's running their mouth or whatever, and instead of you engaging in that and giving up your energy, kick it over to your attorney and let your attorney handle it. Don't mess with it, right? Because it ain't worth your energy. And then the other is, and this is the biggest one is, man, just let it go. Let it go. A lot of stuff people just can't let go. That's just an energy drain. So let it go. The third exercise is really identify where you're multitasking, where you're not present. That's a huge drain for a lot of people in that, be where your feet are, right? So Jesse talks about that as well. Wherever your feet are, be there. And, we challenged our masterminds about 3 years ago with this thought of all balance is being present wherever you're at in your life. That is balance. There's no thing such as, there's nothing as work-life balance. It does not exist.
Yeah.
But balance is about being present wherever you're at. If you're at home, be at home. This goes back to busy versus being productive. If you're at work, be at work. If you're at the gym, be at the gym. If you're whatever you're doing, be wherever you are at. It is that simple, but it is not easy. It is extremely hard to keep your mental focus on the task at hand and being present wherever you're at. So that's the key. And then the fourth and final thing to really help you from a mindset get things right is, man, you got to just eliminate energy robbers, things that rob you of energy. Yeah. And you've got to make a list in the equities of your life. What are you worrying about? That things are outside of your control. Dealing with, this is the big one, man, dealing with people from your past that are below your new standards. That's a huge one. And, poor eating habits. Just there's certain things there that are energy drains that you've got to identify and cut. You do. And because if your productivity depends on it, because when you're getting drained and you're getting sucked in, you're not able to focus and you're thinking about stuff outside of your control. Yeah. It just, you become a busy bee instead of a productivity warrior.
Yeah. And I know nowadays with, I have my Apple Watch, I have my phone, I have all these different things that can cause you to be distracted, and just being present, putting those things to the side and knowing you can get to that text message later. You can get to that red notification that you hate seeing later. So just being present and just knocking out what you have to knock out is a big part of it.
Yeah, man. But, the number one skill that we can all continue to grow and develop, and I say skill because skill is something that can be learned and developed, is that the ability to focus, right? Control our attention, focus. If we can really create, and more so, man, it's about, like you said, it's about creating the environment, man. It's turning that phone off, put it on airplane mode. Yeah. Give yourself the space and the quietness to be able to focus and be present and get things done, man. That's the key.
Yeah, I know. That's one thing that I do too. When I get into my time blocks, I put it on airplane mode. I don't even give myself the option to check it out. Because I know even if my watch starts vibrating, it's a natural reaction to check it and see what's going on. Uh-huh. So that's why I turn everything off. If I have one thing to do, I have one thing to do, and nothing else matters.
Amen, brother. And it's hard, man. It's so hard. And, but if you're able to build that muscle, the gap of separation from you and there is no competition. Yeah. You are your only competition. Yeah. But it's unbelievable, right? Like I get giddy knowing how easily distracted people get. And if you have the muscle, the mindset, and the strength to stay focused for an extended period of time, you will prevail over any. You will accomplish things at a greater level than anybody else can. And in this business, in the real estate space, there is nothing in this business that can't wait a couple hours. Yeah. So a lot of agents, got to be responsive. I'm always there for my clients. Well, that's bullshit. You need to be. You need to be. You need to stay focused. You need to be on your agenda, because either you're on your agenda, your schedule, or you're on somebody else's.
That's powerful right there. Yeah. So John, hey, I appreciate you coming on here. If you guys want to go back and rewatch this, it'll be posted on my timeline after. There's a lot of value if you're just joining now that you want to go back and watch. If they want to get more information, they want to learn more, where would you send them, John?
On the real estate side of things, kind of what we're doing with Kinder Reese, if, you want to get hooked up there and dive in on the real estate side of things, go to Join Crew, Kinder, KRU, Kinder Reese University. Go join the crew. And so joincrew.com. But if you want to hit me up, man, just honestly, just hit me up on Facebook, man. That's that is the absolute best way. Just shoot me a DM, man. Shoot me a message, whatever you got to do. Just hit me up.
Yeah, so guys, joincrew.com. I know I'm doing content in there once a month. As of right now, I'm coming in there kind of teach you guys some things. So, John, I appreciate you guys coming on here. Again, guys, this was the episode of Nick Krem Live, powered by contentcards.com. That's Content Cards with the Z.com. To rewatch this, to be posted on my timeline after this. Do you have any closing messages, John?
No, man, just like we said right there, you know, you either run the day or the day runs you, as Mr. Jim Rohn puts it. So I'd much rather run my day than have somebody else run it for me. So that you're in control.
I love it. Hey, a lot of nuggets on here, and we'll see you next time, John.
See you, bud. Thanks.